Jeff, entering the rare club of a 3-time manufacturing happy hour alumni. Welcome back.
It's an exclusive club, and I'm glad to be a part of it.
I'm happy to have you as a part of it because I always have something new to ask you. And since we are here at this event, my first question has to be, I'm asking everyone this one, what is your definition of smart manufacturing? And more importantly, how would you describe a smart manufacturing mindset?
So I think it's a great question. I love the term smart manufacturing because it really just references the use of technology to improve the manufacturing process. What most people don't realize is that term and concept isn't new at all. It just changes flavors every so often. For example, if you were actually to look up the term smart manufacturing on Google's Ngram viewer, you would find out that the term was used more in the 1820s than it was all the way up until 1994 is when it took over again, which means the term has been talked about for centuries. It didn't mean the same thing then as it does now though, but the broad concept of using technologies to advance your manufacturing processes, it means the same thing. What makes it different now though is the fact that there are so many new technologies out there all coming together that you can make monumental improvements in your manufacturing more than you've ever been able to do before. And that is Industry 4.0, or the era that we're living in right now, is how to take advantage of all these technologies. Artificial intelligence, IoT, digital twin, cloud computing, edge computing, blockchain, you name it, collectively to increase your throughput, to increase your product quality, to optimize your efficiencies, to reduce your cost, to do all those things. So that's kind of my broad view of it. But a lot of people also use the term interchangeably with connected factory or agile factory or autonomous factory. And so here's the way I like to kind of differentiate those. A connected factory is kind of the precursor to a smart factory. It's all about just connecting machines and devices together that builds up to the capability of using intelligence in a smart factory to do cool things that you haven't been able to do before, which can then lead to either an agile factory or an autonomous factory, where an agile factory focuses on quick response to market conditions and the ability to change your production process quickly. Autonomous factory talks about removing people from the processes and being able to do it without humans in the loop. So that's kind of where we're going as kind of the era that we're in right now with Industry 4.0. To get to your question about the mindset, I would say the smart manufacturing mindset really has 4 main components to it.
Okay.
Being agile, which is all about not speed, but being able to quickly respond to changes. And it could be changes in market conditions, changes in the company, changes in technology, whatever it is. So being agile. The next one is about being customer-centric. One of the big things that is different with the era that we're living in now is the demand that customers are putting on the ability to change quickly what they want and to personalize what they want. It's your ability to put the customer at the center of the experience. The third is about being innovative. So innovation is more important now than it ever has been because of the technological changes occurring so quick. Those companies and people that have the right mindset to go, how can I use this technology to better my job, to better my process, or to better my organization, come out way ahead. Use ChatGPT as an example. Those companies that were innovative and had the right smart manufacturing mindset were able to start piloting right away versus the companies that didn't have the right mindset. They're still not even using it today. And the last one is being data-driven. There is so much data being produced out there that using data, leveraging it, it's non-negotiable. You have to do it to thrive in this area. There's too much data, and it's about being driven by using this data to make your decisions. So those are the 4 main ways that I would answer that question.
There's a reason you're a 3-time alumni of this show, because you always give thorough answers. Now, I knew smart manufacturing was an old term. I didn't realize it was as old as you had mentioned. But to recap, so the 4 things that make up that smart manufacturing mindset: agile, customer-centric, innovative, and data-driven. Excellent way to kick things off in this conversation. My next question is, since you have been on this show a couple times and we've done a couple interviews, I have to ask you, today I'd like to approach things from your role with CESMII. What have you learned from being on the advisory board to the Smart Manufacturing Executive Council at CESMII?
So as we all know, CESMII is a part of Manufacturing USA, and they play a significant role in accelerating smart manufacturing adoption across the country. And I've been actually working with CESMII for a couple years because I believe in their mission, I like the things that they're working on, and I've been impressed with the outputs that they've been able to deliver so far. So I've been working more in an informal role, wanting to kind of help increase their awareness and kind of boost their message. More recently, yes, I joined as a smart manufacturing advisor to actually help them internally more with some of the subjects and topics that they focus on. That's different than their board of directors, which has more fiduciary responsibility. This is more on what topics should we be talking about. They just developed this Smart Manufacturing Executive Council. What should they be going over with them? What questions should they be asking them? How should they leverage the collective knowledge of that group to help shape the direction of what CESMII works on? So that's kind of my role now. One of the biggest things I'm learning from it is some of the things that manufacturers are really looking for. It's very rare to have 50 manufacturers, the leadership in a room together, all talking about the challenges, the struggles, their desires, their wishes, all at one point. So I'd say I'm more connected now with what's actually happening in the manufacturing industry, and that's one of the biggest benefits I get by being a part of this board with CESMII.
Yeah, and when we've talked in the past, it's been everything from Industry 4.0 to more recently AI. So I always like to kind of hear the latest and greatest from you in terms of what you're hearing, what you're seeing out there. What is the latest evolution or trend in how manufacturing leaders are approaching their smart manufacturing initiatives within their factories or enterprises that you've been seeing lately?
So one of the things that I like to illustrate is that Industry 3.0 mainly dealt with production. If you look at the ISA 95 stack, it mainly dealt with the function of production or the function of manufacturing. Industry 4.0 expanded to the entire value chain of an organization. It started to touch many, many, many functions that production never really dealt with before. So one of the big changes that we're seeing is a shift in mindset of the organization for how to integrate production more into all the other functions of the company, whether it is supply chain, even sales, marketing, service, legal, finance, being able to tie it in together, because those companies that have a fully integrated ecosystem across the entire value chain thrive during this era that we're in right now, Industry 4.0. Now, the two biggest technologies that I'm seeing making a big impact in this are really IoT and AI. So Microsoft had their digital operations report that they came out with this year that talked about specifically the impact that IoT was making in digital operations. And one of the big things that they show is that 65% of organizations are now implementing an IoT strategy, which is quite high for a relatively new technology. Now with that though, one of the good benefits we're seeing is there's a 14% higher increase in successful implementations than we saw 5 years ago. So not only is more being done, but there's more success within it. Now one of the shifts that we're seeing is the do-it-yourself, build your own versus the buy of platforms and off-the-shelf solutions that are out there. There's a big shift in that we're seeing, that just within 2 years we went from 9% buy to 30% buy. And it's reducing the time to break even by 40% on some of these implementations. Because the more you can leverage systems that are tried, true, and tested and applicable to your environment, the better it is for your organization to be able to adopt those. So that's a massive thing that we're seeing there. We're also seeing, to complement that, but talk bigger, is vendor ecosystems we're actually seeing. Because companies realize that Industry 4.0 is just too darn big, and there isn't one company that can do it all, not even close. So you're seeing most companies show up, even here, representing partnerships with other companies to show how together we're all able to transform the industry that we're in, the company that we're working with. And so these vendor partnerships, these vendor ecosystems that we're seeing is a shift in the way that people are approaching their improvement of their operations. And then lastly is AI. AI is just a super hot topic right now. And if you look at the amount that AI has gained attention since generative AI, it's astronomical. What's funny is since ChatGPT came out, everyone's talking about AI. But what most people don't realize is that one subject, ChatGPT, is actually causing an increase in all the other types of AI that you can use, whether it's for prediction, whether it's for analysis, whether it's for control, just because the topic has now reached so many more leaders in the company to go, what is our AI strategy? So we're seeing a huge adoption from that side. In fact, if you look at AI overall for the manufacturing function, World Economic Forum just came out with a white paper last week, 2 weeks ago, very recent, that talks about how it can improve production by over 20%. And 90% of companies are already starting to invest in this technology, but only 16% have started to see success. And it's usually because of a poor foundational effort in place to take advantage of this culturally and technologically. They're putting the cart before the horse and going, oh, AI, we got to do it, before thinking through where and how to do it. So those are the two big trends we're seeing technologically, IoT kind of enabling a lot of this, and then AI being the technology on top that can take advantage of this data. And we're seeing the shift in kind of how companies are approaching Industry 4.0 to mean much more than just production.
Well, I think in our conversations, it's very appropriate today that we're talking about like a mindset shift, because I'm just going to highlight a couple things that shifted my mindset. Your comment about Industry 3.0 being focused like on production and then moving outside the four walls of the factory when Industry 4.0 came along, looking more at the supply chain. Great way to differentiate between those two eras. The other aspect you talked about, having a higher success rate when it comes to these implementations around IoT as more people are buying off the shelf and there are more, let's say, partner ecosystems out there that are making it happen. So that way people aren't having to go reinvent the wheel every time they try these things. So that makes a lot of sense. Then of course with AI, we've talked about that in depth before, but I think that point you made about, hey, because ChatGPT may be the most mainstream, well-known form of AI right now, it's starting to influence people to pay more attention to it and find other ways to leverage it. Awesome insights as always. We're going to leave with one more mindset question. Let's leave with the action for the audience. From your experience, what does it take to start adopting this smart manufacturing mindset?
It's a great question, and really more than anything, it takes a shift in organizational culture and values. You need, as an organization, to understand that technology can drive the future of business. And you need to look at it as the vehicle to get there. And the mindset is the fuel, is the way I like to put it. So, yes, the technology is the vehicle, the mindset is the fuel. You need to build a culture of this mindset across the organization. And I would say one of the biggest ways is to start with your values and make sure that they include the things I'm talking about, being data-driven, being agile, being innovative. You need to be able to take these and build them into your values. If you can be innovative as a company, I actually think that that's the most powerful one of all of them, because innovation, not to be confused with invention, is something that every person in the organization can take advantage of. Get them thinking, how can I apply technology to help my job, to help the process I'm working on, or to help the organization? You're going to find a bunch of collective wisdom within those people to help innovate at levels that you've never seen before. That will help your production, that will help your entire organization from a reducing cost, increasing profit, and even providing value differently to your customers. So if you start with changing the values, you will start to change the mindset.
Mindset is the fuel. I can always count on you for a new analogy as well. Jeff, great having you back on. Thanks for demystifying smart manufacturing as I knew you would. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers.